Hi, a very good morning and afternoon to everyone here. Welcome to our Regional Student Virtual Conference 2020. My name is Ryan, the Executive in Learning Support Team. Just a quick reminder for students who have yet to renew your membership, please do so by accessing your MySCC account. A quick run through, if you have any questions during the sessions, feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box rather than in the chat box. So others will be able to view all the questions. And if you are able to relate to some of the posted questions, you can actually upvote it to prevent the duplicate questions. Failure is just a stepping stone to success. This was a quote by our wise facilitator for today, Sharath Martin. Without further ado, I shall pass the stage to Sharath.
Thank you, Ryan. I must say, I can't even remember some of the things that I say. So it's nice to be reminded. A very good morning to all of you who have joined us on this regional students conference. I think it's one of the first times that we have done this for the students on a regional basis. So I think this is really a sign of the times, a sign that we are actually responding to some of the challenges and issues that we are facing in the new norm. Now, let me just start by taking a little bit of a reflection and recap, right? So we started this conference about 2 days ago. And in the first few days, for those of you who did it, who attended it, we had sessions from expert tutors on SBL, SBR. We also had someone come in and speak about ODCBE. And yesterday, I think that we changed tack a bit and started to talk about careers, so that you can start thinking about what's going to be before you. And we've talked about the ACCA Careers Job Board. We also had an employability webinar. And then we had a very exciting panel, I think, yesterday, where we had some very youngish FCCAs who came in and spoke about, their experience. And these are people who are coming from different parts of our region, different markets, and different backgrounds too. Some were in shared service centers, some in a sort of advisory or consulting space, and some, in this well-known company that we all know, Grab. Again, it was, I think, a real good reflection about kind of what success will look like for you all once you get past this student journey. Today, though, we're going to start with a little bit of a different tack. And it kind of fits in with this whole theme of this conference, which is, sit back or step up. And let's acknowledge that, as students, and I include myself in this because I was a student, but I am willing to say I was a student before some of you all who are attending this conference were even born. So that's how long ago it was. And, failure is something that happens as we sit for exams. And sometimes we fail more than once. Just before we started this webinar, I was sharing with my fellow panelists this morning about my track record. And it wasn't as great as I thought it was. In fact, I failed quite a few times. I might need more than one hand to count that. The qualification, the ACCA qualification, to have the recognition and standing that it does from national bodies, from regulators, and most importantly, I think from the employers, the big brand names, it needs to have a level of quality and rigor. So that when you go out into the workplace, you carry our name and you carry the brand strength that is associated with it. Is it tough? I'll leave the panelists to answer that in a way. Some would say it's tough because it's technically tough. Some would say it's because of the breadth of what we do, the topics that we cover. And perhaps to my mind, the part that is really tough is, I think, the discipline that is involved in studying. It's not as easy as people think it is. So today we've got some panelists, and I'm very excited to have these people with me. So we've got Ashwini. If you can just wave your hand, Ashwini, so they know who you are. That's right, Ashwini. Normalina. Hi, Normalina. And both of them are from Malaysia. Ashwini is a former student. She has successfully graduated, so well done. Normalina, I think, has got one more paper, but I'll let each of them talk about their student journey. And then we have Audrey. And Audrey is not appearing on my pane. Okay, yeah, she's appearing the next pane. Hi, Audrey. Audrey is from Indonesia, and she is still a student. Now, all of these people are experts and gurus in a subject that sometimes we don't like to talk about, which is the fact that we don't get through our exams all the time. We fail. And let me just put that word in with so that there is no hang up, there is no, ill feeling that, oh gosh, these people have failed, and I don't want to be in that category. I think failure happens. It's what happens, and we move on. And particularly, let me also acknowledge that right now, with all the pandemic, situation that we are dealing with, studying is perhaps taking a different form. The way we do it, there's a lot more virtual that needs to happen. And in some cases, perhaps in some markets, we might also have to consider the fact that we will have to sit for some exams virtually. So all of this, I think, brings a lot of different considerations and little things. But today, we're not going to focus on the why. Why did Ashwini fail? Why did Audrey fail? Why did Normalina fail? No. We're going to try and tap into the more emotional side of things. What was their experience like when they did? And how did they step up rather than sit back? So, so now I'm going to just invite Normalina, if I could start with you, to just give a very short overview of your student journey. When did you start? And then what papers you have left, what papers you failed. Let's just have a quick round of that, and then I'll go to Audrey, and then finally to Ashwini.
Okay.
Over to you, Normalina.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Okay. My name is Normalina. I just started my ACCA journey in 2018. Currently, total papers is 4 papers. For for P2 and AFM, I passed in a straight way. I failed APM once. Then I tried for next attempt, I passed. So currently I'm preparing myself for SBL. For SBL, I failed twice and I hope to pass for this coming September.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
Normalina.
thank you.
And I just want the audience to know. So you're working with the Accountant General's
Yeah, I'm
office,
currently
right?
working
Yes.
with as an accountant. Accountant for federal government
All right. And
with
one more
11
question.
years of working.
Right. And one more question before I go to the next person. And that is, when you started your student journey, or at some point in your student journey, you had a family too, correct?
Yep. I have
Yes.
3 kids. So the big challenge for me is my time management. So I have to
Yeah.
I have to
Okay.
my time with study, my time with family. So
We'll come to that,
your
Normalina.
time management is
We'll come to that. I just want the audience to know that here we have a student,
okay.
and the reason why Normalina has only done or had to do those 4 is because she had exemptions for the first 9 papers. So that's Normalina. Now let's go to Audrey.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Audrey. Currently, I'm still attempting audit and assurance. I finished the earlier 8 papers, and audit assurance this will be the 4th attempt. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a fresh graduate. I just graduated recently in July, and I'm still trying to apply for jobs, or not. I will go for a master's degree.
Okay, cool. All right. So you were still doing these exams as a full-time student, correct?
Yes.
Okay, fine. And now we come to Ashwini. Ashwini, I've saved the best for last. So, and today we're going to have a bit of fun here. We're not going to take this whole subject of failure too seriously. So there's a reason why I said I saved the best for last. So I'll let Ashwini introduce herself.
All right. Hi, everyone. Well, I'm Ashwini. Okay, so my journey, I started, in Malaysia, we have our high school examination, SPM. So after I took SPM, then I took sort of what ACCA calls the Foundation in Accountancy, Certified Accounting Technician, CAT, for a year in 2010. And then because that would take me a year. So from there, then I started my ACCA journey as a full-time student. But, they say that ACCA always says this is the fastest way to become a chartered accountant, especially here in Malaysia. And it's supposed to only take me supposedly 3 years, but I took more than 3. So I started in 2011 and I finally made it and graduated in September 2018 exam sitting. Yeah. So those of you who are out there and you're struggling, don't worry, you'll get there soon. Okay. But yeah, my journey, I started as a full-time student. Midway through, I was struggling a little bit financially. So then I had to I had to start working. And so then because ACCA is flexible, so then I switched to part-time studies while working and then, go for my exams, taking one paper at a time. So, and then I finally made it in 2018. Yeah.
Yes. And would you like to talk about the papers and the number of papers that you failed?
Okay. My first failure was for my financial management paper. That was actually, back then it's known as F9. I think now it's financial management. So that was my first failure. And it was when I was a full-time student. And not meaning to brag or anything, but one of the reasons why I actually decided to take up CAT ACCA this route was actually because I thought I was a smart student, because in SPM I did really well. Okay, not to brag, but I had that confidence in me. So everyone was saying, okay, ACCA is a little difficult. Are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, no, I'm a good student. I think I can do this. Yeah. And then came my first failure. And after that, even after I failed, I was like, okay, it's not the end of the world, right? So I can just retake. And because at that point in time, I was still a full-time student. So then I carried on taking the next 3 professional level papers. At that time, it was P1, P2, P3. And on top of that, I added on my failed paper, which was F9. So I took 4 papers in one sitting. And guess what happened? I failed all 4. I failed all 4. And at that point, honestly, that was the turning point for me, because I was feeling like, okay, should I actually continue doing this, or is this not for me? What should I do now? Because all this while, you see, from SPM until now, I've been sort of acing my studies. And then I had my first failure, and it was back to back. So I was really at a place where I was really down. I didn't know what to do, where to go. And, pressure from family. And also I don't come from a very good, my background, I don't come from a very well-to-do family. So cost and finance was always a concern. So then, okay, so I decided to take a break and start working. And maybe take things slowly. So what I want to say to all of you is, don't give up. You need to always have that positive mindset and believe that you can do it, because failure is actually part of success. Let me tell you something. For my P-level journey, there's a paper called Corporate Reporting. And this was the paper that I struggled the most with throughout my whole ACCA journey. Let's put it that way. If I were to just let you guess how many times I took this paper before I actually made it through, I don't think you'll be able to get it right the first time. I took 7 times of failing this paper before I finally made it at my 8th attempt. Chinese say the lucky number is number 8, right? Or is it number 7? I don't know. But either one, I failed at 7 and then passed at 8. So yeah.
Right. Okay.
And throughout the, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, go ahead. Just, if you can finish.
Throughout the whole time I was studying my corporate reporting, I had to go through so many changes in syllabus because ACCA follows the current, how do I say, the current international standards. So when they were making the changes to certain standards, when they were removing the old standards and replacing them with new ones, ACCA was also, the syllabus was also following that. So from the old syllabus to the new one, it was a roller coaster ride. Let me just put it that way. It was a roller coaster ride. Yeah.
So I'm going to write to my bosses to see if we can make you an ACCA historian, because you might be able to tell us about how the syllabus has changed from this to this to this. But anyway, I think that thank you all for sharing that experience. I want to come back to and start with maybe Normalina. I mean, take us to those moments, when you got the results, right? And as you said, some of these papers you sat more than once. If you sat for it once and you clear it, then you think, okay, I'm over it, right? But some papers you don't, to Ashwini's point. Just take us through those moments when you received those results. What did you feel?
If pass, then I'm happy. If fails, ACCA, when I fail, I feel so disappointed. I crying days and night for a week because I never failed before. 2 of my previous paper I passed in a straight way. But for my first failure was APM paper. The moment when I received a result, I failed with only 39 marks. I cannot how to share. I feel so upset, and I tell myself I need to get up and I need to double up the effort. I have kids, I have commitments, I'm working, I'm a mother. So then after that, when I come back home, I look at my children's face. I told them that, mommy have to pass for this time. For the next sitting, I have to pass. So Alhamdulillah, and luckily I managed to pass for the next APM papers. So every one of you here, ACCA fail is a normal. If you pass, you are brilliant. So fail is a normal. So what is important is you have to get back, double up your effort, manage your time wisely, because it's all about the financial also. Luckily, I have a scholar from government sponsor me. Just believe that if you, because God has promised, if you hardworking, He will help you in success. So please don't give up and hardworking. I only have my time to study only on weekend because I'm a part-time student. So I take a chance on Sunday to study from. So I only have Sunday from morning to night, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is the only time that I have. I went to library to study, and I spent the whole day for my revision. So in order for me to, I have to pass. I have to tell myself I have to pass this paper. So currently I'm preparing myself for SBL. So I hope I can do well in the next sitting.
And all the best to you. Yeah, but I just want to take it back to that time. It was clearly a bit traumatic, right? Getting those results. As you said, I'm guessing that even your work was affected as you got those results. Would you say so?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I cannot do my work. The moment I receive my results, I cannot do my work. I went to the toilet and keep crying. I say, why I failed this paper? Because I study a lot. I do lots of past year question. So I make an effort. It's just that if I'm not study, then it's okay with that result. But I study a lot. So yeah, for me, that's the big challenge for me.
Sure. So clearly questions of self-doubt can easily creep in. Audrey?
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah. The first time I failed, well, of course, I felt disappointed, but it was still the second exam, the first time I failed. So, besides being disappointed, I was also like eager to still try and pass, because the first paper that I failed was the F2, the cost management, I think the name. It was not that difficult. It's just that I was not familiar with the material. So yeah, study was the best way, I think, to like practice, and then hopefully I will pass the exam, of course. And then I did after the third attempt. And then the next paper that I failed was F5. Same, I was not familiar with the material. And also, when I was studying F5, I was also a student at my university. So I kind of had a difficult time to manage my time, because I had a lot of assignments, and I took like a lot of credit during that semester. So yeah, and studying ACCA could be really tiring, because it consumes a lot of my brain energy. So I took my time off after I knew that I failed for a while, and then I started to rebuild my schedule, and then yeah, finally I managed to pass.
Great.
For yeah.
Great. Thank you, Audrey.
And then yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then as I was saying earlier, still attempting for the F8 audit assurance. Yeah, it's been a lot of struggles, because I have no working experience in audit, and I am not familiar with audit. So I think it's kind of a challenge, but I'm sure I'll manage.
Sure.
Yeah, that's all.
No,
yeah.
Absolutely. And let me just acknowledge that I think, you know, to the audience out there, you can ask questions to our wonderful panelists at any time. You know, so as the moment we see questions coming up, and I can see some interesting comments in the chat, and I'm sure Normalina, Ashwini, Audrey, you can also see it too. So we'll deal with some of these questions. I just want to maybe turn back to Ashwini. Going through that emotional experience. You talked about taking 7 years, in some papers, 8 attempts. Did you stop feeling anything after some stage, or was it like this picture that we see here about the people going up the slope, except it was going the other way?
And it was going up, down, left, right. I rolled down and hurt myself, and then probably rolled back up again and climbed back up. It was a roller coaster. But no, I don't think anyone can ever feel numb to failing. It is definitely not a pleasant feeling. But I always tell myself, yeah, if you need to cry, just cry it out, let it out. But at the end of the day, you know what you want, you know your end goal. And for me at that time, because I didn't have anything else. Like Audrey, she has another qualification already. Like for me, ACCA was it.
Right.
It was a do or die for me. So
yeah,
although I failed, I still have to make sure that, you know, I have to pass this, because otherwise I don't have a qualification at all.
Sure.
So from there, I told myself, okay, just cry, let it out. It's okay. And anytime someone actually comes forward and asks me, you know, because they know, and my classmates, you know, results day, right? So hey, how did you do? And then I go, oh, not so good. And then, oh, you failed again?
Can I ask you, I mean, how do you face your parents?
Okay, you know, Asian families, right? parents are always, they expect their child to be the best in the class. And I'm so sorry that I wasn't. But
when you say that, I think I want people to understand that Ashwini, if I remember correctly, scored 9 A's in her SPM.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so I have a good memory for things like this. So, and I think ACCA is a great way of bringing smart people back down to earth.
I think so.
As though you're just dropping off from space. So I think when you're talking about these experiences, Ashwini, I think, in the fact that you had to resit certain papers several times. I just want people to remember that this is no person who can't get through basic stuff. This is a person who has aced exams, and the SPM, for those of you who are not in Malaysia, is the equivalent of O levels, the UK O levels, and that's like getting A's in 9 papers. Sometimes people say it's even harder. But Ashwini, hang on. I want to ask a question that was asked in the chat.
Okay.
Is it worth it at the end of the day passing ACCA? Because this gentleman, Johnson, is juggling between work, his financial commitments, and study, and it's hard. And I like the way he's put it. What would you say?
When I was studying, like you, I had that same thought cross my mind. But trust me, when you finally get and finally pass all your 13 papers, you're going to feel proud of yourself. And it's going to definitely be worth it. Because one, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you've accomplished something. And second, you know that you can actually credit yourself and say, hey, you know what? I didn't give up. I actually made it through this difficult time. So pat on your shoulders. Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
Okay, yeah. So Johnson, take it from Ashwini. She's been around the block a few times. And I think if she says it's worth it, it's worth it, yeah. Now, I want to ask you folks another question, and I'm keeping my eye out on the chat as well, but turning back around, as this title says, stepping up, how did you motivate yourselves when it was, let me just pull back and pause and say to all the audience out there, you might see 3 wonderful women, and we are no way in ACCA associating failure with women. Let me be clear. These people just happen to have the guts and the bravado to come up and to talk to you and to inspire you and tell you that there is life beyond, failure and getting into this whole situation. I should be asking the guys, where are y'all? But let me come back to y'all and say, how did you pull yourself back up? And Normalina, can I start again with you? Because you got a family, you got a job. How did you do it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. For me, time management. You have to prepare well yourself. Divide yourself between your study, your work, because I'm not working at office. I have to go for our station. So next week I'm going to Sarawak to do work, and at the same time I bring along my SBL notes and all the technical article to read inside the flight.
Extra luggage, yeah?
So
you have to pay?
Yeah, extra luggage. No, government pay.
Oh, very good.
Because exam, the exam is just around the corner. So because I am part-time, I don't have much time to do my revision. I can't do my revision on my weekdays, only weekend. So I will take this chance, study at night, because I'll be in Sarawak for 4 days. So my advice to all of you is that don't feel like you fail once, you will fail forever. There is a chance for you to get up. So my advice to you is that keep on practicing, keep what to tell. For me myself, because I currently have my commitment, I have family, so I can't do anything. unless to pass all the papers. I can't wait to graduate because it's a bit tired for me to juggling between study and work. So yeah, I will put myself, and I will tell myself, I promise to myself, I will pass this my last paper SBL on next sitting. So you guys out there, those who have experienced a failure, please don't give up, because there is a chance. There's always a rainbow after the rain.
As I'm hearing you, Normalina, it sounds like you're saying do whatever it takes to motivate you, right? You know, you use the word you're tired.
Yeah.
You're
So
tired
just,
of studying,
yeah,
so
I'm
you
trying
want to get through it,
to,
right? I mean, and I guess the point that we're trying to
so,
across to people is you know, sometimes what you read about in terms of motivation, all the stuff that's out there, look, that's fine. But, you know, for people like Normalina, and I imagine also for Audrey and Ashwini, there's some other realer reasons out there, which is, you know, just pushing them through the line. Before I get back to y'all, I just want to address a question here from Norain Nazira. And she says that she's been failing many times, different papers, and she's still failing. And she feels like it's just this big bad luck that's hitting her. And she doesn't know how to start. She doesn't know how to move on. What would you all say to her?
Nur Ain Nazira, if I were you, I will take some rest. Maybe I will not going to sit for coming exam. I will start on the next following exam. Take your self-rest, enjoy yourself first, and start back on the next sitting. So you will feel comfortable with that way, and I guess that the momentum of study will come to you after all.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So just remember, Nurain, because you have to fail in order to succeed. Mark this word, you have to fail in order to succeed, because ACCA fail is a normal one.
Well said, and I'm sure
Just
my
don't
education team,
don't give up.
yeah, will be wondering, oh boy, you know, what does this message say to others? But let's be real. Ashwini, I want to turn to you very quickly. You're the professor here in terms of, you know, resitting papers, and you must have some sense of what Narayan is talking about, right?
Yes.
And I want to ask you and Audrey this: is luck coming here?
Okay. When you say luck, I believe that most likely is in terms of what your favorite areas are coming out in the exams. And when it comes to ACCA, there's no such thing. Let me just share on how I actually made it through my failed papers. I hope if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I failed so many times that every time I failed, okay, at first, you know, you will usually have, I think every student will have their own way of studying. But the moment you start failing, I think it is time for you to revisit or relook at how you are actually approaching your exams, or how you're actually tackling your exams. You may need to see if there are areas where, or there is a certain thing you're doing which is not working. So don't continue to do that. Try a different method. So like for me, I was self-studying. I was using approved publishers for my ACCA exams. Okay, so I was practicing questions like what Normalina said, you know, just keep practicing. And yes, I kept practicing, and yet I still failed. So it's difficult, but you have to look back and see where you went wrong, because you're not going to be doing everything wrong, but probably that's just that, you know, little bit where you need to improve and practice and push to actually just pass the exams. So don't repeat your mistakes. You have to learn from your mistakes.
And were your failures in those papers marginal? Did you miss it by 1 or 2 marks, or yeah? Okay,
most of the time, yes.
Most
At
of
the
the time.
beginning, the first few failures, it was about okay, I scored around 30 plus,
Okay.
but eventually it was marginal. I always scored 47, 48, 49, and I was wondering where that few marks was
right.
missing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, change something and see where you're going wrong. And when you figure that out, you will be able to pass the exams. One of the things, students don't know already, ACC has a lot of resources out there on their website. And one of the things where I like to use and I think helped me the most, and I wish I discovered this earlier, is actually the ACCA examiner comments, or I think they call it the examiner report.
Yeah.
So sometimes I go to the exam and I feel like, okay, I think I can do this paper. I think I did quite well because I knew the standards that was asked, or I knew the questions, I could answer the requirement, or I thought I answered the requirement. And then when the results came back, I failed.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at the examiner report, the examiner will actually summarize what a majority of the candidates were doing, and they will highlight what was wrong. And then when I read that, I was like, ooh, okay, I did this. So I shouldn't be doing this the next time. So from there, you learn from where you're going wrong, and then you know how to improve for your following exams. And then take it step by step and see how to slowly or gradually improve. And hopefully, if you are failed already and you're taking you're retaking your paper now, that you can pass your paper.
Okay.
Just do things differently.
All right.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Okay. My lecturer always told me that those who are getting a 39 and below marks, there might be some answering technique on how you answer the question. So what I'm doing is I find resources. For example, currently I'm taking a Spencer Chia online. He is a very good in answering technique. So I bought him online class. So I keep
I've lost you. Yeah.
If you cannot get, if you can't get the technique how to answer, then goes to your marks. So normally those who are getting 39 and below, the problem is on your answering technique.
Okay, great advice. Audrey, let me come to you. I mean, how did you, I guess, deal with these kinds of experience? Perhaps not as dire as what Narayan was facing, but still, you went through a couple of failures. Did you run to the beach? What did you do to kind of, sort of de-stress and take yourself out of this whole situation?
Okay, so growing up, I learned that after you face something that's just devastating, you should take a time off and then not to think about it for a while, just think about other stuff that's just happier. In that way, that maybe help for your self-esteem. That could refresh your mind, your thoughts, your brain, just keep to go back and track before you start learning it again. Because fresh something new, like a fresh brain, a fresh start could really help your motivation, maybe you could find new ways to overcome your failure. And just don't feel small about yourself. You need to think forward, you need to think what's in it in the future for you. You need to aim for your goals, because you need to have one, right? And even if you don't have it yet, going through it will lead you to it. You need to just keep moving forward, because dwelling on your failure does not really help does not really help to overcome your failure, because it's just there, and just feeling bad about it doesn't help anything. So what you need to keep doing is just like what Ashwini said. You need to change your study method. You need to know the area that you're good at and that you're not good at, and then you can start studying the area that you feel not confident in. You need to do different methods and different approach for learning it. Yeah, and then maybe you can find what you cannot do well, and then you can start understanding maybe that different method.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't give up. That's the thing.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Audrey. You know, Normalina, you spoke about, I guess, the difference for you between, you know, the papers that you sat and you didn't get through, and then when you felt more confident was clearly when you started to take some online tutorials, etc. So I've heard from you. I just want to come to Ashwini and say, you know, if you look back at the difference between success and failure for a particular paper, what was that sort of defining thing that
other one
changed it from failure to success?
They just give a common login.
Oh, sorry, I'm hearing some background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What changed failure to success? First thing is, when you fail, it's not the end. And like I agree with what Normalina said, that you have to fail in order for you to succeed. And so when you fail, there are things, it's because there are certain things that's not meeting the requirement. And specifically talking about ACC examinations, the examiners are setting the questions in a way where they don't want you to fail, okay? There are so many hints and tips in the question itself that is supposedly supposed to help you to pass the exams. So you need to keep practicing, that's the first thing, to pick out on how to actually identify these tips that the examiner is talking to you in the exam, and actually putting it out in words to explain to your marker that I understand this, and this is how I analyze things. And from there, then you'll be able to actually pass your exams. And sometimes you may not be able to do it on your own. So you will need to surround yourself with people who is probably taking the same paper as you, and try to have discussions. Or if that doesn't work for you because you feel like you can't study in a group, I understand that some people don't like studying in a group, they study better alone. What you do is you can seek for a tuition provider. So I failed many times for my P2, and I finally took final revision classes with where I'm currently working right now, actually, UOW Malaysia KDU. And then I finally passed my corporate reporting paper because my lecturer managed, when I was going through the final revision classes, there was little tips and tricks here and there on identifying certain areas or key areas to just give me that little push for me to actually go for the exams.
Okay.
Ashwini, talking about the P2 papers.
Yeah.
When I was taking P2, I passed for only one attempt for P2. What I'm doing was, I keep practicing on YouTube. There are lots of resources on YouTube that can help me to do the consolidation on the P2. I only did my revision on YouTube only for P2. That's why I managed to pass for first attempt.
Wow.
So you guys out there, please find your suitable resources.
Yes.
Yeah, there are a lot like accountancy. Just doing it.
I'm just conscious of time, so I'm going to try and summarize what you all have said, which is basically that each of us are different, so we'll have a different way that works for us. For Normalina, she had all these YouTube content, which was great for her, and it worked. For Ashwini, I think there was and even Audrey, there's a lot of sort of personal reflection as to what went right and what didn't. And then I think you use some of the guidance and resources that are available in terms of the examiner's report, etc. And so I guess the message to people out there is you need to figure out what works for you. What worked for Normalina and Ashwini and Audrey may not necessarily work for you. So stop trying to think of a formula in which success will suddenly magically appear. So let me. I think we're just come to time. Let me thank Audrey, Ashwini, and Normalina for your time at today's session. I think the input that you have provided, the very real perspectives that you have shared, I think will help students out there. And I know this session will be recorded, and I hope others who have not able to join the session will benefit from it. And so, thank you very much for coming on board to share this experience with us. And with that, let me turn it back to our DJ for the morning, Ryan.
All right. Thank you, Sharath, and to our three amazing panelists, Ashwini, Audrey, and Normalina, sharing their ups and downs. So before we can move on, I'm launching a short pool of 4 questions. Everyone, please participate and share your thoughts. Yeah. Hold on, yeah, just let me launch the pool. All right, here you go. I will be giving about 1 or 2 minutes for you guys to answer. Are you all able to see the question posted? If let's say yes, maybe you can put in the chat box for yes. Okay. All right, I think that some of them already given the answers, more coming in. So I will be sharing the result of the polling after 1 minute so that everyone can know what the other peers think about. Close to 50% have already answered. Maybe I'll just give 20 seconds more before I end the polling. All right, just let me end the polling and share the result with you guys. Okay, just for your reference, because this will be used for our reference in future planning, just so you know. So I'll give some time for you to run through the answers that chosen by your peers. All right, so we'll go to the next sessions right now. So I believe most of you have heard of this quote, stress when spelled backward is desserts. Our next session is about managing stress and performance in the new norm. Ms. Sharmini is here with us today to sweeten our stress. Sharmini, the stage is all yours.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you for staying on. I was very attentive and listening to all the sharing from all the panelists just now, and I also had a better insight on what you're going through, and it has helped me ground myself, how I'm going to address and going to speak to you this morning. So thank you for having me, ACCA, and I'm so happy to be part of this regional student virtual conference. And even from the poll, I can assess the kind of stress that you guys are going through, exam stress, you know, being in lockdown and not being able to go to class and being confined to home studying, right? So before we go further, let me just introduce myself. My name is Sharmini. I'm a life coach, and I have been coaching since 2006. My coaching toolbox is neurosemantics NLP. I work with young people. I work with adults, men and women alike. My passion is especially is to empower women. So when it comes to stress and performance, you know, one of the things that we learn in NLP is the mind and body are integrated. That means whatever that's going on in your mind, you will have and you will feel it in your body. So if you're thinking,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes,
Sharmini.
Ryan, yes.
I think you have yet to share your presentation slides.
Okay.
Yeah. I will stop sharing from my end.
Okay. Is that good? Yes?
Yes, I think you can open on the slideshow mode.
I think I have. Okay,
yes.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that, Ryan. So the ACCA team has been exemplary. They have been supporting me with the setup and everything. So thank you so much. Just to continue, my personal experiences, because learning from what I as a coach, that the mind and the body is integrated. So I know that taking care of my mind is really, really important to how I perform in my daily life, how I consistently perform in my daily life, right? And as a result, you know, it's taken me down the path of meditation, being mindful, not only mindful of my thoughts and my feelings, but also how I eat, what I eat, when I eat, when I exercise, when I don't. So, so when I was invited to come here and share with you about managing stress and performance in this new norm, I was really excited. Okay. Also, the other thing that I'd like to ground us is, like, if at any point you feel like you have a question, just, you know, put your questions in and I'll try to attempt to answer them. And yes, so yeah. So today the session will cover how to recognize your stress and your triggers, yeah, and how to handle them. We are in a very, very stressful time in all our lives, and we need to know how to manage that. And also techniques on how to ace your exams. I saw in the chat box you had a lot of concerns about performance, you know, failure. So in the second half of this presentation, I will actually be able to address that. So stay on. I've got a lot of good stuff to share with you, probably not in the slides, but hearing from your questions and hearing from the panelists, I have extra things to add on. So stick around and hopefully it'll be worth your time. And lastly, we will talk about techniques, how to handle stress, right? There are many techniques out there right now that are really effective in how you handle stress. I am going to be sharing a couple. Okay, so let's get to this COVID-19 pandemic. So if this triggers you, Just stay calm. We'll be able to address your triggers and your stress. But just the word COVID-19 pandemic, I think just starts giving us all these palpitations, like, oh, you know, not only the stress of the virus and the people who are dying and how sick you get, but also the impact of lockdown, the impact of quarantine. So you need to understand we are in an unexpected, unprecedented unknown. That means we've never been here before. Nobody knows the solution to how to get through this. Everyone is guessing, and they're giving you their best guess, okay? And you have to figure out for yourself what would work for you. So I was recently attending a mindfulness conference, a Singapore-based mindfulness conference recently, just about a couple of weeks ago. So I've got a lot of this data, as you can see, from the conference. And if you see the names in parentheses, those are citations. That means these people have written journals about this topic. So if you just Google their names and the year and some of the keywords in the sentences that you're reading right now, you would probably be able to find the journal, the corresponding journal, and if you want, you can read them for yourself to understand more. But I just picked up a few, and what is definitely certain is it's uncertain how to maneuver through this time. Yeah, and there is no vaccine right now that has been approved that can be used. So everyone is still working on it. Yeah. And it is a fact that the fear of COVID-19 increases your level of stress and depression, okay? And it reduces your quality of life. And in some cases, also the rate of suicide, all right? So it's a very, very scary time to be in. So how do we address that fear? How do we then address that fear coupled with your stress of your upcoming exams? You still need to pass your exams. You're not learning the same way. You're learning distance learning. You don't have actual interaction with your colleagues, with your lecturers. You know, you cancel out your social interaction. I mean, it adds on more and more stress, right? So how do we handle all of that? So these are the groups that are also the tendency of them to have a higher distress level, right? So we have here the female gender, we have youths, you know, aged 18 to 30, and students. And I think that's largely all of you here listening in, right? Of course, mind the female, right? So you're in that category where you're highly distressed, right? We know that. We know that for a fact. Scientists are writing about it. They've journaled about it. Now, how do we help you? How do we assist you with overcoming this stress? First, let's have some distinctions, okay? Let's get some distinctions on what is this? What is mental stress, right? We have a lot of articles, people talking, everyone, the buzzword is mental health. Everyone's talking about it, from, what is this, Meghan Merkel to, you know, the doctors, to your aunt, everyone's talking about mental health. So what is mental health? So these are the distinctions that I found very helpful in the conference that I attended recently, and I've just outlined here what they are so that you can understand what it means to have mental health problems, okay? And allow yourself to see that you are probably not having a problem, but you're having mental health stress, all right? So let's start with mental health illness. So mental health illness is a serious brain element, a problem, okay? There is some kind of chemical imbalance in your brain, it's genetic, there's environmental factors, you know, And it happens to probably, this is like chronic depression, bipolar disorders, and it happens to about 20% of people over their lifetime, okay? And it needs to be diagnosed by a professional, and it requires medical attention. That's mental health illness. Now, we look at mental health problems. Mental health problems is how our brain responds to all this severe stress. So there are times in our lives when we get severely stressed, like parents divorcing, somebody passed away, all right? Bullying. And sometimes in this like COVID pandemic, you know, people losing their jobs, you know, your father lost his job or someone, a relative lost their job and everything stopped, there's no income coming. It can also cause a serious mental health issue. And but it happens to people in many times in their lifetimes, and it shows that adaptation is difficult, and you might require help. You might require a counselor, you might require talking to a therapist or even a life coach. I personally have been having a lot of people reaching out to me during this time, having a challenging time dealing with the fear of the pandemic and then the consequence of the pandemic, because, you know, people can't do the things the same way. People can't work the same way, earn the same income. So it affects every part of their lives. And believe it or not, I have got a lot of couples also coming to me because, you know, all the tension in the relationship is causing breakdowns as well. So, but in this situation, it doesn't require treatment. You don't need medicine, okay? You don't need therapies, right? And then we come to mental health stress. So mental health stress is our usual response to stress, everyday stress. So you have your exams coming up, you're feeling stressful. Sometimes you have relationship breakdowns. You broke up with a girlfriend, that can cause you stress. Or boyfriend, okay? Disappointments, when you get your results, it's not what you want, that can cause you stress. And it happens to everybody every day. I mean, from the time you wake up this morning to the time you go to bed, you will have stressful situations showing up for you, all right? However, this stress is more for you to learn how to adapt and to have coping mechanisms set up. And the bane of it is because people look at stress, it's such a bad word, you know, it's looked up as being negative, all right? So we need to reframe stress as something positive. So here, the Institute actually says, you know, it's excitement, not stress. Okay, let me say that again. It's excitement, not stress. So how do you actually reframe your stress into excitement? So let me kind of guide you here, okay? Ask you some questions and maybe you can share with me in your chat box, right? Where do you feel stress? Where in your body do you feel stress? Can someone, do you have the chat box? If you can just if you can just share, where do you feel stress in your body? So, yeah. For me, when I feel stress in my body, I usually have it in my head, right? I have in my head, I feel a heaviness in my head, and maybe I have maybe palpitations around my chest, and do you feel, yeah, neck, head, heart, shoulder? Yes, that's right. And how many of you have butterflies in your stomach when you feel stress? All right. So, right, cool. Thank you for all your responses there. Fongzi, Mandy, Norain, Gayatri, yeah, Afika. So, and I just want to ask you, when you feel excitement, Where do you feel excitement? The feeling of excitement, where do you feel it? Do you also sometimes feel it in your head? Like you go, like there's a buzz going on in your head, you know? Do you feel palpitations? And do you also get butterflies in your stomach? You know? So maybe, just maybe, when you're feeling stress, you might actually be feeling excitement. Maybe when you're feeling the stress symptoms, because it's the same symptoms as excitement, you're feeling the same kind of symptoms going on in your body, maybe you're feeling excitement and it's not stress. Now, we just want you to open up to that possibility, because reframing it in your head will start to create a different kind of thinking mechanism. You know, when you say about stress, it feels negative and it feels very heavy. But if you reframe it and you say, oh, I'm getting excited about the upcoming exams, you know, having these butterflies in my stomach and, oh, I'm getting really anxious. But, you know, it's that kind of exciting anxiousness about my exams coming up. Maybe then your body will start to relax, because there's two kinds. When you're having excitement, it then activates a different kind of nervous system reaction in your body versus stress does. Okay, let's go further and understand the next slide. All right. And the next slide here is this chart, this graph here. It's what is stress. So if you look at stress versus performance, if you have no stress, too little stress, and you're not doing much of anything, that's when you get boring. Oh, I hear it from my kids all the time. I'm so bored. And, you know, and I'm sure you use that too. Oh, I'm so bored right now. Okay, that's because there's too little, not enough stress, and not enough, you're not doing things enough. Okay, in coaching, what we call, there isn't a gap, there isn't a motivational gap from where you are to where you want to go. All right, so that's why you're feeling bored. There's not enough tension between you and your goal, right? And then there's a time when you're feeling quite relaxed, all right? And you're feeling quite relaxed, and you're motivated, it keeps you alert, and you feel like, you know, you have some positive outcomes to achieve. You know, and this is where you actually start getting a good grade. You look at all the panelists who shared earlier, okay? When they failed, okay, we're going to reframe failure, okay? There's no such thing as failure, only feedback, okay? All the times that they failed, they felt very bad. But after a while, somehow the results didn't matter so much, because the results started to give them feedback about where they are. Okay, and then they start to get into this sweet spot where I think Nona said something like, let the momentum of studying get to you. That's the sweet spot, you know, going into that momentum of studying. Suddenly you feel good about going and sitting down and doing your assignments and reading up, because now you are having enough stress, optimum stress, and you're performing optimally, and that's the sweet spot. All right, now it gets into that bad curve is when you go too much into that stress, when you push yourself too much and you get stressed up about stress. Yeah, when you get stressed up about stress, you know, when you get stressed up about stress, then it starts to become really bad. Okay, then you get depressed, then it moves on, and then you start putting a lot of negative labeling about your performance. Oh, you know, I didn't do well, it's going to suck, this time I'm going to do even worse, it's not going to get better. And then your parents come in and inquire about how you're doing. They just ask you how you're doing. Oh, my parents are pressuring me, they want me to perform. You know, it keeps on in your head. You start to run a picture that's really, really bad, and you're going downhill. Okay, so that's when it's too much stress and you get burnt out. So what do we do in those situations? All right, in those situations, you need to understand that every time you are triggered, every time you're triggered. So from reading about COVID-19, I mean, I don't know who reads and the updates of COVID-19 diligently every day. How many victims, how many more patients, how many people caught. I mean, does that make you feel better, or does that keep on the stress and the fear? Okay, so for me, because when I look at that news, when I see the numbers, I hear them, all this negativity and fear, I start to feel very fearful, because that's how we process information, through our eyes, to our ears, and to our feelings. We process this information, and what happens is that it starts to have a fear reaction, and that fear reaction goes into this wonderful place in our brain called the amygdala. Okay, and the amygdala is the center for fight and flight. Okay, it processes fear, and it's a center for fight and flight, where then it will start to trigger you into either be prepared to fight or be prepared to flight, to run. Okay, so every time you see those triggers, all right, every time those triggers come up to you, that's what happens in your brain. So understand what's happening internally, because now that you understand internally what's happening, you can then stop it. Because how you stop it is that you need to start to tell yourself, you need to start to tell your mind, yes, this is a fear, okay, and it's real. It's a real fear. You can catch the virus and you can get very sick. But the truth of the fact is, I'm in my house right now. All right, I know how to take precautions. I need to wash my hands. I need to put on my mask when I go out. You know, I'm taking precautions. I'm not going out to large gatherings. I know I'm just going to the supermarket. I'm coming back. I've got my sanitizer in my hand, you know, and the supermarket or wherever I'm going, I'm taking responsibility to ensure that it's clean, you know, and it's safe for me. So I can then start to calm myself down and say, you know what? While the fear and the threat is real outside, I don't have to be caught up in it. I can control my brain and I don't have to be caught up in it. I know it's easier said than done. Okay, that's why the next couple of slides, I'm going to show you the tools of how to actually address that stress, because you need some tools. This age, this time, it is so hard to manage everything on our own. If you think you can manage all the stresses and everything that's so overwhelming outside in this world right now on your own, it'll be too much to handle. You need some tools, okay? So I'm going to share with you some tools. Now, all right, so when I mentioned about the fight and flight responses, that's the two kinds of automatic nervous system that's going on in your body. I think you've learned this in biology. For those who've learned it in biology, okay, we're going to just cover it a little bit so that you understand what's happening in your body. Okay, when the trigger information, when the trigger comes, the information, the fearful information comes, what happens to your body? It goes to your amygdala, it starts to trigger your fight and flight responses, and then you go into sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system then starts to build up cortisol. All right, it's to send adrenaline in your body because you're getting ready for fight to flight. Okay, for fight or flight. And the cortisol then keeps you in stress mode, like ready, you know, like ready to fight, ready to, you know, run, you know. So the cortisol serves a purpose. Okay, if there's a real threat, it serves a real purpose because you need to get ready to fight or you need to get ready to run. So it serves a real purpose. But if the fear is not persistent in front of you, it's not right there in front of you, you can tell your brain, it's okay, I am safe. Okay, and you remove the trigger of fear and the trigger of stress. Once it's removed, you go into parasympathetic system. And that's when you start to calm down. Right? You start to calm down, you start to relax, okay? And our goal is to be in the para state at least 90% of the time, okay? Because when you're in the para state, you perform better, okay? When you're calm and relaxed, you perform better. Would you agree, right? So that's how we try to manage the ourselves to get into that parasympathetic nervous system, all right? So I've got this, came out in Facebook, I thought it was quite interesting to share it with you. Happiness chemicals and how to hack them. Okay, so this is how you get this good feeling vibes. Okay, there actually are good feeling hormones in your body that help you feel good. All right, so if you look at it, the dopamine is the reward chemical. You know, when you're completing your tasks, you're completing your exams, right? You're doing self-care activities, you're eating food. Some people, that's why, you know, the stress, what you like to, how do you overcome stress? Some of you said eating snacks and food, because it gives you that dopamine into your system, it activates it, and you start to feel much better, all right? And then you have the serotonin. So those people who are like to exercise, and then you sit out in the sun, you meditate, yeah, or you go walks in nature, you get serotonin, which is a mood stabilizer. And oxytocin is when that love hormone. So when your hugs, you know, when you're interacting with people, and that's why you miss classes. That's why you miss going to actual physical classes, meeting your lecturers and meeting your colleagues, because you're not having that oxytocin. Because, you know, when you meet your lecturers, there's a connection, you know, and there's patting on the back and compliments and acknowledgement from your peers. So you're missing that oxytocin, right? And then there's endorphins, okay? And endorphins are like, you know, some of you say, you know, one of the way of releasing stress is to watch TV. I think that was the highest on the poll. Okay, watching Netflix, watching comedies, watching movies, all right? Dark chocolate, it says there. So go for it, people, you know, 70% and above, dark chocolate. And essential oils, okay? Essential oils, I don't know if, how many of you use essential oils. Aromatherapy is a great way of relaxing. You know, just put some in a diffuser, a good quality oil in a diffuser, things like lavender, all right? And just let it run in your room, and it calms you down, okay? So these are the happy chemicals, and these are usually activated when you're in the para state. So now, how do you relieve stress immediately? Okay, how do you relieve stress immediately? So tapping is a scientifically proven technique to calm you down, to calm stress down immediately. You can Google this series called Proven. Okay, it's proven by Nick Palizzi. It has all the scientific methods of that have been proven for how to cure, how to overcome stress, how to cure different ailments and stuff like that. And if you're interested, it's good information to understand how to manage your own health and well-being. Okay, so one of them for stress, actually the top solution for stress management is tapping. All right, so I'm going to just run through tapping with you, and I'm going to demonstrate, and hopefully you will also participate with me on how to tap. The wonderful thing about tapping is it combines mind and body. So remember when I said initially mind and body are integrated. So when you're feeling the stress in your mind, what happens with tapping is that you're actually tapping points in your body to release the stress. Okay, so there on the slide you can see the different points of tapping. It says EFT here. So tapping was first known as the emotional freedom technique. Okay, so these are the tapping points. And yeah, there is a tapping app that I found that I use all the time, even before I came on for the talk. I actually played the release anxiety tapping meditation. It was only about like 9 minutes, really calm myself down so that I can come on board here, you know, because I also get excited, you know, I get excited about coming on and talk to you. So it's time to calm down. So I know a lot of you might be in a state, maybe of not stress, but maybe you want to feel better. So let me just guide you through these spots, okay, these tapping points. Let me see if I come and, right, this, okay. So the first point is the karate chop point, okay? The karate chop point, I like tapping because it doesn't say immediately release your stress. Immediately think about walking in the park and be happy. I like tapping because it addresses where you are right now. So if you're feeling stress, on the karate chop point, you acknowledge, I'm feeling stress about my exams. Even though I'm feeling stress about my exams, I choose to love and accept myself. Okay, so it's about addressing where you are, not moving straight into being positive, but acknowledging your negative emotions, where you start, and then move slowly. So first point is the karate chop point. So you can just tap with 3 fingers or 2 fingers and you just tap, right? So that's the karate chop point. All right, so you can work with me and do it alongside me if you want, right? Karate chop point. And then you've got the eyebrow, okay? The eyebrow point at the corner here, at the start of your eyebrow, you tap, okay? And then you follow your eyebrow at the end of the eyebrow, that's your eye, under your eye, okay? And then under your eye, and then under your nose, under your mouth, and then on your collarbone. So this is your collarbone right here. Okay, under your around your collarbone area, you just tap. You can either use your whole palm or you can use your fingers and you can tap. Okay. And then you have underarm, under your arm, like 4 inches underneath your armpit. Okay, for women, it is your bra line. That's your underarm point. Okay, a lot of lymphatic systems here. You're releasing stress. And then the last point is top of the head. Okay, so you saw all the points. What do you think? All right, if you were like me, when I initially saw tapping, I thought this is for crazies. You know, I mean, like, I'm all for stress relief, I'm all for interesting techniques, but this sounds so crazy, tapping all these points, you know, because when I first heard about EFT was about the time I started coaching, like more than 10 years ago. I've known this technique for a long time. And when I saw the video for EFT, I go like, no way, you're not going to catch me doing all of this. That's for crazies. I'm not, okay? And I was too quick to judge, I must say. Okay. However, about last year, late last year, I went for a stress management workshop, and the trainer and facilitator actually did tapping with affirmations. I'm an affirmation buff. I love affirmations, but she did tapping and affirmations, and I could immediately feel the difference. And since then, I'm sold on tapping, and I recommend it to all my clients, to everyone I meet, okay? And I also found a really fantastic free app, okay? So this is the tapping solution. So if you want to go ahead, if you have, just go ahead and kind of download the app on your Play Store, okay? At least you have it on your phone, okay? At least you have it on your phone, and it's there accessible. I mean, they have a huge library of amazing meditations. I mean, from anxiety to going on a flight, to releasing anxiety, to COVID fear. I mean, you check out the library, it's quite impressive, okay? And please, what you need right now and what you need to start to begin with is to have tools to help you manage your stress, okay? I am going to turn 50 this year. I did not know about having tools and techniques to support stress and to support how I think and stuff like that. I had to go through crisis in my life, like severe breakdown, okay? Breakdown almost, you know, I was going to psychotherapy, I was going to psychologists to help me deal with that emotional breakdown, for me to find tools to help me through it, all right? And that's one of the reasons I became a life coach, because you don't need to get to a breakdown to actually help yourself, all right? Or learn to help yourself. You can avoid big, huge breakdowns if you maintain a habit of managing your emotional state, right? Your emotional state is everything that you've got, okay? From the moment you get up in the morning to when you go to bed, your emotional state drives your performance, how you do things, how you interact with people, how you feel about yourself, your quality of your work, the quality of your relationships. It's all dependent on your emotional state. And if you can make a habit of managing your emotional state, so I'm sure you all have break times, you know, when you're learning, you get all stressed up and you go like, okay, I'm going to take a TikTok break, right? Like go through the TikToks and see all the different challenges and stuff like that, you know, or you have your Netflix time, or you have your time to go and play Dota and Minecraft and that kind of stuff, you know. If you can take 10 minutes out of your day and you can actually start something like tapping, which actually maintains your mind and body into a balanced state. You are getting your mind and body into a parasympathetic state, into a relaxed, calm state, okay? And you could do it every day. Your performance will skyrocket, okay? I tell you, your performance will skyrocket, because there's something about how we program ourselves, okay? We program ourselves through our neurology, okay? As a coach and learning NLP, this is what I know. You want to run the best, highest program in your brain, in your mind, so that you can think better, feel better, and you can do better, all right? And one way of doing it is tapping. Tapping works with the neurology, like, you know, the meridian points. I mean, these are ancient Chinese acupuncture points. And it's all around your stress. A lot of you said earlier, stress is around your head, right? So you feel a lot of it. So immediately when you tap these points, what happens is that you start to calm, you know, you tap these meridian points, it starts to calm yourself down, okay? And with the tapping solution meditations, believe me, I'm not getting anything for it, yeah? I'm not just, you know, I'm not paid, they're not sponsoring me or anything like that. It's just a good tool. I'm recommending you a good tool. When you do the tapping solutions meditations, they also have affirmations to help you when you're tapped. So what you're doing is that you're putting in, or you're suggesting all these wonderful affirmations into your neurology, right? And what happens that automatically, if you keep on doing it for 21 days, then you start to believe it. You start to imbibe it. You start to emulate it. And suddenly you start to operate from it. You know, like, oh, suddenly something has changed. That's how you program yourself. Okay, we work with computers, we put on different apps, you know, application, different programs just to update our computers so that they perform better. We as human beings, our mind works like a computer as well. So you need to constantly update good stuff, good programs into your mind so that you can perform better. So tapping is only one. There are so many out there. Okay, I hope I opened that door for you to explore tools and techniques, okay, and create positive habits, all right, around how you maintain your mental health, because that's really important. So now we have talked about stress, how to maintain stress, how to immediately relieve stress. We now need to talk about how to enhance your performance. How do you do better? Okay, how do you do better, and how do you actually get that A? So you don't fail too many times. I know, like I heard about Ashwini failing a paper 7 times. I mean, kudos to her for never giving up. But if you find a formula, which I'm going to share with you, how you use your mind and your body and you perform, yeah, together, all right, aligned, chances are you won't have to fail so many times. Okay, so let's talk about how to do that. All right, so first thing you need to know, your learning and performance is state dependent. If you're not in the right state of mind, you are not going to be able to learn. You are not going to be able to sit and do your best in the exam. You agree with me? Yeah? So state is your state of mind, right? So I think Nona said something about, there was a question and someone said, you know, I feel like a failure and it's bad luck. I failed my exams. And then Normalina said, you know, take a break. Take a break, don't sit for the next exam, look for the next one, take a break, relax, have fun, and then come back to it, right? So what she's suggesting is actually interrupting your current state, okay? If your current state, if you're looking at your results and you're looking at your results and you say, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm no good, and then you hear all this external feedback coming in as well about you, at some point you're going to believe it. Okay, so I want to tell you one thing, okay? The best thing I think I can share with you today about failure is, there's no such thing as failure, only feedback, okay? There is no such thing as failure, only feedback. You did not fail. It's feedback. Whatever you're doing right now, your current behavior, your current action, did not help you create the results you wanted. Okay, so that's feedback. Okay, and I think Ashwini mentioned about feedback as well. She said, you know, first time around she sat for the exams, and then, you know, the next time around she didn't do the same thing over and over again. She learned from it. Okay, and that's because she took the feedback, she applied the feedback, and then she got a different result. And it took her 7 cycles of actually getting the correct feedback, all right, of processing the feedback, getting the absolutely perfect on-point action behavior to get that result. So it took her 7 times for herself to learn that, okay, to ace that paper. So now I hope I can shorten that length of time for you. You don't have to go through 7 cycles. Hopefully these techniques will start to give you some more information, okay, on how your mind works so that you can then shorten that time, that cycle for yourself. All right, so feedback, okay, whenever you look at your results, it is just feedback. A lot of us, we are living in an Asian culture. Unfortunately, we identify with our results, okay? Oh, I failed, that means I'm a failure. oh, I failed, I'm stupid. That means, that's stupid, I'm stupid. We're not our results. Okay, that's your feedback. Okay, you as a person, you have all the resources to excel. Okay, everyone is made equal. Everyone with a working mind, okay, we are made equal. We have all the resources in ourselves to perform well. So now what you need to do is you need to start understanding what state actually gets you to perform really well. Okay, so I want you in the chat box, okay, thank you for staying with me. In the chat box, I just want you to list down, okay, what are your states that you need to get into where you learn really well? Okay, what are your learning states? How do you feel in order for you to sit down and actually learn and go through your revision? What are the states that actually help you learn better? Okay, what are your learning states? Okay, for example, for me, I'm doing my master's right now. My learning state is okay, listening to music while doing revision. Okay, so that's a state of what? Relaxation. Emily, is that relaxation for you? Maybe you want to share that to all of us. Yeah. Yes. Okay, that's relaxation. So Emily says listening to music while doing revision. Okay. What other states? If you can share, what are your learning states that help you learn better? Right? So for me, it's relaxation. I usually try to do my tapping before I get into a learning state. So how do you get into a learning state, a positive learning state? Okay. Okay, how do you get into that positive learning state, right? So one is either you listen to music, you go for a walk, you work out, okay? You get some of your nice comfort food that puts you in a good state of mind, okay? So these are the things that you can do through your body, okay? In your mind, through your mind, it's basically like, for example, you can say affirmations. You can actually talk to yourself, all right? Say positive affirmations. Now they have on YouTube, they have got all these videos for affirmations and stuff like that. And what it does is that it pumps you up, all right? So understand learning and performance is state dependent. If you don't get into the right state, you won't be able to learn well, all right? Okay, so yeah, the next one, motivation equals meaning. So in the earlier chat with the panelists, I read a lot of comments about people feeling failure, and they feel like, is it worth it? Should I give up? And I think Sharath also was trying to get some information from all the panelists about what motivates them. Why didn't they just give up? Okay, why don't you just give up? You fail one time, okay, that's it. Pack your bags, that's it, give up. Why not? All right. So, okay. Yeah, just reading here, positive words, positive announcement. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So we're getting now to your motivation. How do you find motivation to be consistent in doing what it takes to get your results? How do you find motivation? Okay. What is your motivation? Okay. Because sometimes you say, I'm motivated, I want to do this, and then you know what? You binge watch Netflix, right? You binge watch Netflix for hours that you're supposed to be studying, and you go like, oh, it's okay, it's so good. I'm just going to go from one season to the second season and third season and stuff like that. And you go like, and then you feel really bad. I should have been studying, I didn't study, and that gets you all stressed up. Now, there is a science to motivation, okay? And if you look at this quote by Plato, it says, man is a being in search of meaning, okay? Neurosemantics comes from meaning making. We are meaning making beings, okay? We are meaning making machines. In order for us to actually find a connection, right? In order for us to find a connection to what we want to do, to achieve a goal, we need to go in, discover our meaning. What does it mean to me? So ACCA, it's the most prestigious professional accreditation. Okay, you're embarking in one of the most rigorous, most challenging professional qualifications there is on earth. I mean, based on everyone's feedback, it seemed like that to me. Okay, before I came here, I talked to some friends who have done ACCA. I just wanted to get their mindset, how it was to do the exams and pass the exams. It's not an easy thing. It is difficult. And chances are, from all the panelists, you're going to fail. You're not going to fail once. You're going to fail 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Now, you are going to fail your exams, right? So how are you, which is what the panelists in the beginning say, how are you going to sit back or are you going to step up? Now, in order to step up from all your failure, you need to make meaning of this failure. If you look and you listen carefully to all the panelists, they found meaning in their failure. They found strength. They found the reason to push ahead. You know, I got some quotes here, you know, there's such thing as you have to fail to succeed, right? I have to pass, okay? ACCA was it for me. I mean, I remember hearing Ashwini said, I have to pass. That was Normalina. I have to pass, you know, I want to feel proud. I want to feel worth it. I want to feel accomplishment. You know, I didn't give up. So they found meaning in what they did. Because when they first started, I'm sure when you first started, oh, I won the ACCA accreditation. Then I pass, I get a big job in one of the big fours, I get a good paycheck, blah, blah, blah. And my life will be happy ever after. All right. So it's like, oh, it's a means to an end. But then when you get down to actually doing the exams and learning for it and passing exam, it is not that simple. You have to earn it. You have to earn that accreditation. You have to earn that brand, okay? Because you are going to be associated with a brand of high quality individuals who've gone through the same journey, have the same credentials and qualifications as you. And it's not easy to get into that group, into that brand, into that elite group of people. Okay, in order for you to do that, you need to find meaning. Now, how do you find meaning? So a good question I usually ask my clients is, why is it important to you? Why is it important to you to get an ACCA accreditation? Why is it important to you to get an ACCA accreditation? So this is a question I'm asking you, right? If you have an answer, please share in the chat box. And then from there, I will go deeper in how you get to the meaning of it, right? So I'll give you some time to think about, why is it important for you to pass and get that ACCA accreditation? Why is it important for you to get an ACCA accreditation? Why is it important to you to pass the exams? Why is it important to you? For career advancements. Okay. Anyone else? So Emily says for career advancements. All right. So I'm going to share here. If you don't want me to share, you know, something to be proud of. See my progress. Thank you, Afika. Okay. So why is it important for you to get this accreditation, especially an ACCA accreditation? Okay. So once you start, okay, that's the surface level. Okay, the surface level is that, oh, yes, I want a good job. Okay, I want to be proud and I want to see my progress. So that's the first level. So now when I ask you again, like Emily, I ask you again, say, when you get that job, when you are getting ahead in your career, what is important about that? What is important about career advancement? Okay, Atika, what is important about being proud and seeing your progress? What's important about that to you? You know, to feel proud and to see your progress. What's important about that to you? Why is that important? Okay, so if you can respond, and we can go a bit deeper, so then maybe I can demonstrate. So right now I'm actually kind of trying to do a coaching session here with this online chat box thing. All right. So to sharpen my skills, and Emily answered, to sharpen my skills and progress to my career and also learning of opportunities. All right. You see, because when you start asking yourself, why is that important? Again, Emily, you know, thank you for participating and going with this flow. Why is it important to sharpen your skills and progress? Okay, why is it important to learn? And Atika says, I can remember the ups and downs and affirm that I survived. Yes. Why is that important? Why is that important to you to remember that you are a survivor? Why is that important to you? Right? So I'm just keeping on with the same line of questioning. Why is that important to you? So because when you want to get to meaning, you have to go to many, many different layers. Help me go through life? Okay. Why is it important to you to remember that you're a survivor, Africa? Why is it important to you to remember that you're a survivor, Africa? Okay. Emily, why is it important for you to sharpen your skills and progress and having learning opportunities? So when I'm demonstrating with these willing participants, what I'm trying to help you see is that they're getting deeper and deeper into their meaning making. Okay, and there will come a time when you will find that switch, that like, I got it. I got it. Why it means for me to do and pass my ACCA exam. I got it. It gives me satisfaction. Emily says it's personal satisfaction. It gives me satisfaction to know I did it. Okay, so that. Whenever you sit down and you get demotivated, and you feel like you don't have the mood, oh, I'm not in the mood to do this today, I don't get it, I haven't been in the mood for studying, then you rehash, you go back into your meaning making. Why is it I want to do this? It's so that I can have satisfaction. I know I did my best. I know I didn't give up. I earned this. And when I have it, I'm going to feel really satisfied. I'm going to feel like, wow, this is the big one. I got a big one down. I made it. Okay. And that, when you get into that state, okay, when you find your meaning, because every time when your satisfaction is a state, isn't it? Right? Being satisfied is a state. So when you get into the state of satisfaction and you feel it, then you can go and attempt your work. And you will see it will flow even more meaningfully. You will do it even with greater joy. Okay, so it takes time to find meaning. Okay, all the panelists before this, you know, they already discussed and they already shared. It took time for them to find meaning. 7 times, 4 times, 3 times, okay, of going through the cycle to find the meaning. Okay, and in that finding the meaning, they actually listened to feedback and they made changes when they got the feedback. They didn't do things the same way. So they started to perfect them, being masterful at doing exams, doing ACC exams, being masterful, the technique. Oh, so some people use YouTube. For some people, you go to the lecturer's feedback, you know, get the feedback from them. Okay, so they start to perfect their own technique. And like Sharath said, it was very true. Everyone has a personalized way. One person's technique doesn't fit all. You have to discover what works for you best. The only way for you to do that is to learn, and through making mistakes, you start to get the feedback, what works for you the best. All right, so I hope you understand how powerful meaning making is in order for you to succeed, in order for you to actually find the motivation to do what you need to do. Yeah, so we go to results. Results equals success. Oh, as a coach, I really love results. I mean, when I coach, it's all about results. Okay, what's your goal? By when? Okay, and let's get there. Okay, because if you don't get results, you don't get feedback. You know, if you don't have results in your life, you know, for example, you go and do ACCA, you don't get any results. Oh, it's like free for all, you're learning. Oh, there's no grading. I mean, do you know how well you learn something? You know, so results are important. Results tell you whether you're on track with your goal. Okay, so if you get a mark, it says less than 39, you know you're not on track. Something is wrong. Okay, so results are very important. Don't personalize it. It's just your feedback. All right, it tells you whether you're being effective or not. So another technique on how to be effective is you need to start to work with your mind in your performance game. Okay, you cannot just work body, you know, oh, I put 10 hours of studying. I study. I do all the papers and I watch all the YouTubes and I'm really, really focused. And then, you know, I don't get results. Yeah, you won't, because you have to engage your mind as much as your body in your performance game. And this is what elite athletes know. Okay, especially in these days, this day and age. Okay, everyone's breaking records at Olympics. This year we didn't have Olympics, but you know, by next year they'll double break the records because they had more time to practice. Okay, and an elite athlete knows performance is not just based on practice. You have to get your mind ready as well. Okay, so visualize to materialize. That's what is very powerful for you to learn. You need to visualize yourself in order for you to see yourself succeed, because you just don't get there. You can work hard, yes, you know, but you know, I don't like to work so hard. I like to work smart. I like to work effectively. I like to use all my senses, all my resources, make them work in alignment so that I can perform better, okay? Because if you just work in your body, you get very stressed, right? But if you work alongside your mind, you won't get so stressed. So elite sports person already do this. So now we want to emulate that. We want to model how they do it. We want to model their techniques of visualization so that we can actually get the same results in our lives. In this context, your ACCA results. All right, so you all know our Dato' Nicole David, right? Our squash champion. Okay, she's still the world's #1 squash champion, right? Pity it's not in the Olympics, otherwise we have multiple golds. Now, Dr. Nicole David had a coach, all right? And the coach worked with her. Of course, there's a coach that works with her with her performance, with her diet, her technique, and all of that. But there is another coach that worked with her on just performance, which is training her mind. And what he did, okay, Michael Gensch, was make her visualize all the various, visualize her opponents. So she'll watch a training video of a competition of her opponent, all the games her opponent play, okay? And she would study her opponent's strokes and everything. And what then Dr. Nicole would do is that she would visualize herself every time that opponent pulled up that stroke, how she would respond in her head. So she's preparing in her mind how she's going to attack every stroke that comes to her. All right, so she's playing it in her head, visualizing in her head. All case scenarios, in all case scenarios, she is preparing herself in her mind, because when you prepare yourself in your mind, your body will naturally go there. Because one of the prime directives of your mind is the mind works on the principle of least effort. Okay, the mind works on the principle of least effort. And when I heard this in my NLP class, I was rejoiced. I was overjoyed, because I never like to work hard. Okay, working hard is stressful and it doesn't yield results. You get depressed when you work so hard, you don't get results. So when I understand that my mind works on the principle of least effort, my job now is to guide my mind to the path of least effort. And how I do it is that I prepare myself by visualizing what I want. So if there's a goal that I have, in your case, your ACCA exam, you need to visualize yourself sitting for your ACCA exam, okay? All right, I'm going to go into more details. And how is it going to show up? How are you going to feel? What are you going to do? What are you going to see when you're actually sitting down and doing your exam? All right, so how visualization works is you need to talk to your mind in its mind language. Okay, your mind speaks in a specific kind of language. It speaks in pictures, sounds, feelings, smells, and taste. Okay, these are the modalities. If you want to talk to your mind, you have to talk to it in terms of pictures, sound, feelings, smells, and taste, right? So the main three ones are pictures, sounds, and feelings, because that's how we pick up information through our five senses. We pick up information through our five senses, we process it in our mind. And for you to activate that program so that you can execute it, you need to activate it in the language that it's been programmed in, which is pictures, sounds, and feeling. So in order for you to sit for your ACCA exams, you need to see yourself, okay, from now till 7th September, if you have an upcoming paper coming up on 7th September, from now until 7th September, you need to visualize your pathway to actually sitting down in your center when the paper comes, writing it, okay? So what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Okay, so you have to really start to visualize. That means you really have to start to picture it. Okay, from today onwards, I heard Sharmini and she says about visualization. Okay, I'm going to sit down and visualize me sitting down for my exam. I'm going to visualize myself getting into my highest meaning, my state, and I'm going to get motivated. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to read all these notes, and I'm going to do all these past years, and I'm going to go on to the lectures, feedback, and I'm going to question. See yourself doing that, okay? And then you start to, in a modality of sound, okay, you start to feel like, I feel more encouraged. I feel more motivated. You know what? I'm feeling like I can do this. All right. And that motivates you even more. And then you meet your learning goal every day. And that feels like, wow, so good. I achieved it today, you know? And then next day, fall flat. But you get back up again because it's not going to be a straightforward journey. So in your mind, you prepare for when you're successful and you prepare for the times when you're not so successful. How are you going to work around it? Because not every day is going to be a win, right? So on the days you don't win, you're going to say, okay, maybe I need to rest. That day, if I don't feel good, I don't feel anything, okay, I'm going to just binge watch Netflix, and I'm going to be okay about it. No feeling guilty. Just relax. And then next day, I get back up again. So in your mind, you're playing all these different scenarios, okay? The highest, the best scenario, and not the not so good scenario. And in your exam too, when the exam paper comes, you go like the first case scenario is like, wow, all the things you learned about, wow, the questions are all there. You feel so excited, like, ah, yes, I can feel it. I get it. I'm going for it. Yeah, keep on writing. You know, that's your best case. You know, I'm getting so excited for you because I'm there, you know, and I'm accessing that feeling of sitting down there and having the exam paper, and all the questions are like bonus questions because all the questions I prepared for. That's one case scenario, all right? And next case scenario will be, oh, maybe, oh, not so. Oh yeah, only one question I prepared for. The others I didn't. I'm not so sure. Then you already, because you already visualize it, you now attempt how you're going to attempt how to deal with that disappointment. Okay, and you say, okay, I'm going to ace this one, I'm going to do the best this one, the others, okay, I'm going to have a strategy how I'm going to overcome the ones that I'm not so prepared for. Okay, in your mind, you're ready already for any which case scenario. Of course, don't keep on playing the worst case scenario lah, you know, play the best case scenario. You prepared for the worst case scenario, but aim for the best case scenario. Okay, in your mind, visualize, you know, visualize the morning, getting ready to go for the exams, you know, oh, free roads, no jam, straight away can get to the exam center. Or, ayo, suddenly got traffic jam, accident. Yeah, what happened? Okay, then visualize yourself, you know, like Neo, Matrix, you know, you stop time, okay, and then you maneuver through time. Okay, I'm just joking, right? Okay, just kidding. But visualization is fun. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, visualization is fun. You know, feel yourself there, see yourself there. What will happen is that because now you've prepared your mind, you're already there. You're already there, sitting at your exams, and you're running your best case scenario, and it's going fine. You're feeling confident, you're prepared for it. And so your body naturally will move in alignment with all the wonderful pictures you've played. That's it. Okay? Sportsmen have done it for their sports. Okay? Now you're doing it for your exam performance. So how's that sound so far? Okay, we're actually coming to the end. Actually, this is the last slide I have. So any questions right now based on whatever I have shared with you now or in the earlier segment, you know, any questions that clarifications that you'd like to ask me at this point in time? Do you understand the visualization technique? Do you, can you understand how to do it? How to go about preparing yourself mentally for performance? So far, so good. Thank you, Chen. Right? Any other questions? Okay. Any other related to this or not related? I'm more than happy to be open and discuss it with you. Yeah. Otherwise, you know, what do you do if you're feeling overwhelmed? Okay. Afika asked, what do you do if you're feeling overwhelmed? Okay. When you're feeling overwhelmed, what's happening? When you're feeling overwhelmed, what's happening? You have too much things going on. There is no such thing as multitasking. We are human beings. Okay, we can have multiple things going on at the same time, but we are focused. We can only focus one at a time. Okay, focus one at a time. So you have your work, you have kids, like, you know, Normalina had kids, and you have your job, you have ACCA, you have your parents. We are human beings. We have so many things going on. Okay, we have multiple things going on at the same time. However, for you to not feel overwhelmed is to focus one thing at a time. So when you're sitting for your ACCA, when you're having time learning your ACCA, you don't think about your mom, right? You don't start thinking about your mom and your family problems and your work job problems and all the other things that are bugging you. You just focus on here now. ACCA, let's do this. I've got so many chapters to finish. I've got so many papers to go through. I'm just going to focus here now. Shut that out. You have to be like those race horses. You know, they have blinders on. Like, that's it. Lock down and just be very clear. This is what it is. Okay. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, reduce your distraction and complete attention and focus on what you're doing. Because when you're overwhelmed, you do so many things and you do everything half-heartedly, you get no results, your results suck, and you get even more overwhelmed, right? So focus one thing at a time, okay? There are too many, don't overwhelm yourself, don't overwhelm your system, okay? Afika, does that answer your question? Right? And Maya says, thank you for your clear explanation. Thank you for that feedback. Okay, Afika say yes, thank you, right? So that kind of brings me to the end of this session. Ryan, is it about time to wrap up as well? Right? You can always reach me at lifecoaching@gmail.com. You know, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. You know, it's LifeWorks Life Coaching. If you have any other questions that you'd like to address, and maybe you can't talk about it here right now, I'm more than happy to talk to you, right? So talk to you when it comes to what's going on for you with your exams and all of that. So that's my email address there. Sharmini, yeah, okay. All right. So so for now, I just like to just wrap up. I have my prime motivation here today is to share with you information that probably you're not aware of right now. So now you know, you're aware, you know, stress can be managed. You need to adopt a habit, tools to help you manage stress. And when you are in the right state, you perform better, okay? Because state management is everything. And in order for you to understand how to motivate yourself, find meaning in what you're doing. The deeper you go, the more sustainable motivation you will have. Okay, it will sustain you through all your failures. If you go deep enough in your meaning, you can fail all you want, you'll never give up. All right. And lastly is the technique to visualize. Okay. Once you go there in your mind, you will go there in your body. Right. That's how beautiful our mind is. It's so resourceful. It's so fascinating. It's the most fascinating resource we have. And we all have it. You need to maximize the use and the potential of your mind. Okay, so visualize to materialize. Go there in your mind, you will go there in your body. All right, so it's been a great privilege to be here with you. And I thank you for all your interactions. You know, it's not easy to do some coaching with the chat box, but we manage. Excellent, right? And thank you to the ACCA body for inviting me on. And I'm partnering with Tap Pro, and Tap Pro is my partner in training, and they are the ones who got me here to come and share with you. So yeah, so I welcome all your feedback. I welcome all your comments. You can email me, tell your ACCA body how you enjoyed today's session as well. That would be great, and what you gained from it. Yeah. So I'll pass over now to Esther. Esther will be closing, and thank you so much, all. So I'll
Thank you, Sharmini. I think, for your contact, for students to contact you, you can also drop it in the chat box.
Okay.
So, if it's your Facebook account that you'd like them to connect with you, you can put it there as well, and also the same email address.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Thank you so much, Sharmini, for bringing us through. I think, you have given us a lot of, very good nuggets to think about on how to manage stress in life and how to manage exam. I think one of the key takeaway that, change our mindset is we need to stop thinking of failure as failure of our being is only just feedback.
That's right.
I think if we take that as an attitude, I think we can pick ourselves up and then continue the journey and try to modify our approach for a better outcome. Okay. Thank you, Sharmini, and thank you all our students, presenters. Thank you for your very insightful and very honest sharing of your experience. I think all our students benefited a lot from your sharing. At the same time, this is not the end of the student conference. We'll still have a 1 week of program next week. So please look up in your email for the program next week. You may want to tell your friends that there are still sessions on SBR, SBL, APM. We also have a session on PM. And for students in Australia doing remote exam, we have a special lineup for you on Thursday and Friday on remote exam and CBE practices. Okay. So I end the session here. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice lunch before you come back for the afternoon. Bye, everyone.